Okay, hi volunteer mask makers. We are going to make a flute mask and we're going to start with a pattern. I'm using a brown paper bag from the grocery store, and you're going to start with a 10-inch line. Okay, and mark the center at 5. And then the other way we're going to go 15 inches, so at 7.5 on each side. Draw another line. And then you just want to connect these lines to make almost like a football shape. So to actually make sure that the shape is going to be symmetrical all the way around, I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half and then fold it into quarters and then cut so that all the edges are the same all the way around. So to make sure that this is going to lay nice and flat on the fabric, you can go ahead and just do a warm iron to flatten out the pattern piece. And now we're going to get ready to cut. Okay, so I have laid out my fabric. I have pinned my pattern down. I'm using a very thin knit fabric so that it'll cling to the face better. And each mask will be using 2 layers of fabric. So I have actually done a back and forth accordion pleating or folding so that when I cut out my pattern, I will get multiple masks for 2 layers. So then go ahead and cut your mask. Okay, so you're going to take your 2 layers, make sure the edges are all meeting together, and then just find your center again, because you're going to start making the pleats or tucks on each side of the mask to make this billowy mask for flutes. And so I just, again, do a light iron to find my middle and also kind of keep it marked. And then we will start the pleating. Okay, so after you've marked your center at the widest part of this football shaped mask, I also have tacked down with some straight pins at the points. So you're going to do an inch out. That's where your first pleat is going to start. You're going to do an inch out on each side. So I just go ahead and mark that. And then each pleat will be about a 1/2 inch. The woman who designed this said about a finger's tip, but everyone's fingertip is about, a little bit different. Everybody has, short or longer fingers. So anyways, it's about a 1/2 inch, and you're going to fold it in towards that pin that you marked an inch out of, where that's going to be the nose piece or the chin piece. And then I go ahead and just pin that again. And then again, and this does not have to be exact. I use my ruler just to kind of actually help me make sure that I'm staying straight. And then where that pleat ended, so see that's right there where that pleat ended right there, I'm going to do another 1/2 inch. So you're just going to pleat the sides in until you get to the point, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so again, I did my pleats. For this size of a mask, you're only going to be able to get 3 in, about 3 in on that side, because again, you're going to turn this over when you finish the mask to attach the elastic. So again, there's about 3 pleats. So what I have done when constructing these is I go ahead and do all the pleats so that when I take it to the machine, I can just stitch them all down. Okay, so again, you're going to mark an inch out from the nose bridge or the chin. Oops, sorry. From where the nose is, or down here from the chin, and start your pleats out from an inch from the center. Okay, so I have pleated all the sides or the tops and the bottom here. It kind of looks like a funky crescent shower cap. And just to note, the pleats on the outside, so here's the nose bridge, which will be on the outside of the mask. The pleats go in, and on the inside, where the flute and obviously the face will be, the pleats go away from the nose. Same thing at the chin. So now we're going to stitch this up on the machine. Okay, so I have one side of the mask going towards the nose bridge or the chin, the center of the chin. On the top side of the mask. I'm going to use only just a 1/4 seam, which is just the edge of the presser foot, at least that's on my machine, just a 1/4 inch seam allowance to construct the mask, just to make sure it's fuller for the flute player. So I'm going to stitch all the way up just past the third pleat. Okay, so I've stitched my one side of the top part of the mask all the way just past that third pleat. I'm going to come and over on this other side and stitch all the way up to that third pleat. Okay, so I have stitched the other side of the pleats up to the nose bridge. There should be a hole here, and this is where you're going to insert the nose wire piece here. So there's actually some stickiness, and this will actually help you place it in the fabric before you're going to actually sew around this, which will finish your seam here, and also create just a tiny little pocket that this sits in, and to make it more secure for the person wearing the mask. Okay, so I've put the metal nose piece in here. It's pushed up right against that 1/4 inch seam allowance, so we're actually going to use that as a guide to where to stitch. Usually I use, I marked also 2 pins to where it ends so I know where to go around it. But usually, like, my presser foot is sitting right on top of that metal nose piece as I'm going to sew down along it. And so I just suggest nice, slow, steady stitch. Okay, and then I'm gonna get to my end here. It's a little... Okay, and keep my needle down. Switch it, stitch down the side of the nose piece. Again, needle down and come back the other way, right next to it to create that pocket which the nose bridge goes in. Okay, so now we have the bottom part of the mask that goes underneath the chin. This you'll do another straight stitch, again a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and this one you can go all the way across, all the way to the other point, because you will not be having any wire pieces like you did at the nose bridge. Okay, so we have all our sides stitched up, and we're going to now clip all our seams just to just a little bit to the stitching line, because then we're going to use some double folded bias tape to finish the edges, so it's just more comfortable and finished for the mask wearer. Okay, so now that I've clipped my seams all the way around each edge, I'm going to use some bias tape, double folded bias tape. I know it's kind of hard to find right now, so you know, you can actually make your own bias tape, but that's a whole nother, I guess, video. So anyways, we're going to attach this to go all the way around the mask, again, just to give it a clean finished edge. I did actually press my bias tape just because it was still folded on the card, and bias tape has a little bit of stretch to it because it's cut on the bias. So I just wanted to kind of get it all nice and flat to go against the stretchy knit. Okay, so the next step is we're going to put in the hole for the flute to slip into the mask. So again, find the center of your nose bridge. You're going to go down about 3 inches to the center of the mask, and then you're going to go over about 2. So I've pinned that right there, and then you'll go up about 3/4 of an inch on each side of that center point on that for the hole, and then we're going to stitch it to reinforce it around those edges. Okay, so I cut the 1.5 inch hole from where we measured, and then I reinforced it with just a single stitch around that hole. I'm going to use my overlock stitch, or like a serging stitch, to finish the ends. Just reinforcing it with a single stitch would still be enough, but since it's a knit fabric, the wear and tear of the instrument being placed inside the mask and outside the mask will make the knit fray, I think a little bit more than a woven would probably. But this is, again, just on my machine, but you could use just a regular single stitch. So I overlocked the hole here with the stitch, again, just to secure for the use of the instrument being put inside out the mask. So now we're just going to attach the elastic, and I have some very soft elastic here that I've been using. I cut to 6 inches, and then I just tied a little knot. And then I have one pinned here, and I'm going to turn it over. I'm just going to put it inside that little point. I'm going to turn it over about 1 inch. I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to do a simple single stitch just right down here, back and forth, to reinforce that. All right, here is the finished mask Emmy is wearing. She can turn it aside. So see right here how it goes right underneath the chin. That's what all that pleating is for, and why it's helpful to use like a jersey type knit. So it kind of just hangs more loosely than a woven. Anyways, that is the mask. Now again, it's not perfect. It does look like the Loving Hands of Home made it. You know, like the serging, you can still see some of the snipping marks, and the pleating is not perfectly straight or anything like that, but it's going to do the job for the musician. Thanks.